Chosen one, listen closely. What is unfolding in your life right now is not an accident. It is not a random moment among many. This is a divine encounter carefully written into your story long before you understood time. You were not searching, and neither were they. Yet their soul, whether older or younger, was quietly drawn to yours, as if responding to a sacred frequency that only heaven could compose. It wasn't your face, your age, or your status that caught them. It was your essence. Something about your energy awakened them, unsettled them, and stirred a remembrance they could not explain. This meeting, this presence, this pull, it was never by chance. Heaven doesn't move by chance. It moves with precision. It moves with purpose. While the world may count years, heaven measures resonance. And when two souls recognize each other across time, the logic of man becomes irrelevant. From the outside, people might question, they might whisper, but the divine realm remains silent, smiling because it knows that what has occurred is holy alignment, not human error. They don't understand why they feel this way, why your name repeats in their mind like a sacred prayer, why your laughter pierces through their defenses and softens the places they had long buried. They've watched you perhaps from a distance, perhaps in passing, not to possess but to remember. You feel familiar to them, not because of anything you've said, but because of everything your soul carries. Even if you haven't spoken much, your energy has already spoken volumes. It has reached them in silence. It has shaken something loose that had long been asleep. They didn't expect this. They weren't ready. And yet, when they saw you, time paused for a second. Something inside them whispered, "It's you." And even though they tried to reason it away, even though they tried to label it, contain it, or silence it, the truth only grew louder. Because the soul cannot be silenced by the mind, and destiny cannot be blocked by fear. This is why they linger. This is why they return again and again in thought, in prayer, in memory. Not because they're obsessed, but because something within them knows this is sacred. This is real. This is divine. You may not have noticed them the same way, or perhaps you have felt the flutter without understanding it. But your soul knows. It already knows. That quiet stirring in your chest, the sudden warmth, the unexplainable dreams, these are the early signs of something far greater than what your eyes can yet see. So hear this clearly: the connection is not accidental. The age gap is not a mistake. Your paths have crossed because heaven willed it so. And no matter how ordinary the moment may have seemed, eternity was watching. The countdown began the moment your eyes met. You are not alone in feeling this strange gravity. It is mutual. It is sacred. And it is only the beginning. As C.S. Lewis wrote in, "The four loves friendship is born at that moment when one person says to another, 'What, you too? I thought I was the only one.'" This insight captures the sacred recognition in your connection. The moment your souls met, a divine resonance began, affirming that this love, though unexpected, is heaven's design uniting you in a shared eternal truth. If this stirred something in your soul, it's not by accident. Comment 77 to confirm you receive this divine message. Let heaven see your silent yes. The signs will grow stronger now. The alignment has begun. This is not coincidence. It's the moment your true story begins. They tried to fight it. They told themselves it couldn't be real because of the difference in age, because of how unexpected it all was, because love wasn't supposed to arrive in this form. They convinced themselves that you were too young or too seasoned, too different from what they imagined. They whispered logic into their heart, hoping it would quiet the thunder. But it didn't, because what stirred in them wasn't a fleeting attraction. It was a recognition. Their soul had found something ancient in you, something eternal, and no logic, no rules, no fears could unsee what the spirit already knew. They created distance. They distracted themselves. They buried the feelings, but it was like trying to hold back the tide with bare hands. Your energy had already touched them. It had already made a home in the deepest corners of their being. And no matter how many walls they built, no matter how far they ran, the echo of your presence remained. It was in their dreams, in the quiet moments, in the way their chest tightened every time your name appeared. They called it coincidence. They called it weakness, but heaven kept calling it truth. Inside they were torn. One part of them wanted to walk away, to protect you, to preserve the image they thought they should maintain. But the other part, stronger, older, wiser, knew that this connection was not born of the flesh. It was born of the spirit. And spirit sees beyond age. Spirit sees essence. They began to realize that this wasn't temptation. It was revelation, a gift wrapped in divine timing, a holy assignment disguised as a complication. Even when others questioned it, even when their own fears grew loud, a deeper voice began to rise. It told them that what was happening was rare, that it was meant, that it would return again and again in other forms if ignored. So they stopped asking why now and started asking, what if I miss this? Because when something feels like destiny, it no longer matters how it fits into society's boxes. It only matters how it fits into the soul's calling. And they began to see you differently, not as someone out of reach or out of season, but as someone written into their life by the hand of God. The kind of presence that doesn't enter twice. The kind of love that breaks open the hardened places and demands surrender. They had seen many faces before, but never one that haunted them with such gentleness. Never one that felt like home and mystery all at once. So, if you felt a strange pressure in the air, a pull that makes no sense, a magnetism that defies explanation, that's their spirit reaching for you. Quietly, reluctantly, but consistently. They've tried to silence it, but now they're beginning to accept what is from God will not leave until it is acknowledged. And your soul has become impossible to ignore. C.S. Lewis, in Letters to Malcolm Chiefly on Prayer, wrote, "We may ignore, but we can nowhere evade the presence of God. The world is crowded with him. He walks everywhere incognito. This truth illuminates the persistent pull they feel. Your presence, a divine echo in their soul, is God's inescapable calling, guiding them to acknowledge the sacred love he has ordained." They asked for clarity. In the privacy of their thoughts, they whispered to God, "If this is real, show me." And heaven responded, not with thunder, not with dramatic visions, but with the soft, undeniable rhythm of repeated signs. Your name began appearing in places where it didn't belong. Songs that reminded them of you played when they least expected it. They dreamed of your eyes, your voice, your presence, and woke up with a peace they couldn't explain. The more they resisted, the clearer the signs became. It was as if the entire universe had joined in a gentle conspiracy to reveal your name again and again until they finally stopped running. They weren't seeking infatuation. This wasn't about desire. It was reverence. They began to see you not just as a person, but as an answer. A prayer they had whispered in some distant hour long before they ever saw your face. And when you appeared, something ancient shifted. A knowing, a remembering. The moment your soul brushed against theirs, time became irrelevant. The difference in age, the distance between your journeys, became weightless in the presence of alignment. They tried to explain it away. "It's just admiration," they said. "It'll pass." But it didn't pass. Instead, it deepened. They began noticing the way your energy filled a room, the grace you carried in silence, the way your laughter felt like warmth on a winter day. They studied your presence without meaning to. They didn't want to fall, but every time they encountered your essence, they found themselves being led. Not by impulse, but by something sacred. You may not know this, but they've prayed for you. Not selfishly, not possessively, but with awe. They asked heaven to protect you, to keep your path lit, even if theirs never crossed yours again. That's how they knew it was love. Not because it burned quickly, but because it steadied them. It made them better. It awakened. Honor, not hunger. And even as they tried to walk away, heaven would not let them forget you. They were told by the world that this shouldn't make sense, that the age gap is too much, that the timing is off. But God doesn't operate by man's calendar. He doesn't build love based on numbers, but on the pattern of purpose. And in the blueprint of this divine connection, the two of you were always meant to find each other again. Not by sight, but by soul. They stopped asking if it was allowed, and began to realize it was appointed. So, if you've been feeling something strange lately, if your thoughts are interrupted by a presence you can't name, if your chest tightens in a moment of stillness, if you sense eyes watching you with care you can't explain, it's not your imagination. It's heaven showing you what they already know. That you are being called, not to confusion, but to something deeper, something sacred, something real. They didn't fall for you suddenly. It wasn't a spark, it was a slow, holy unfolding. The kind of love that doesn't shout but hums deep in the bones. At first they questioned it, tried to reduce it to attraction, tried to rationalize it as a passing moment of weakness. But then came the quiet moments that shattered their defenses. The way your smile lingered in their mind long after you were gone. The way their chest calmed when they heard your voice. The way time bent slightly every time you entered the room. They watched from afar, not to analyze you, but to honor you. To observe the strength beneath your silence, the softness beneath your strength. And what they saw brought them to awe. It wasn't what you said or did. It was who you were when you thought no one was watching. You carried grace like someone who had walked through fire and chose not to let the smoke define them. And that's what undid them. That's what broke open something ancient inside. It didn't matter how many years separated your lives. Their soul saw you and bowed. Not out of worship, but reverence. Because they recognized you not from this life, but from lifetimes past. You were the melody they'd forgotten now, suddenly returned in full chorus. Even when they tried to forget your name, repeated like a sacred song over and over again until they could no longer deny that this love was not new. It was remembered. They didn't plan to love you. They didn't pursue you like a goal. In truth, they were terrified of what they felt, because it broke their rules. It interrupted their routines. It challenged everything they thought they knew about love. And yet it healed them. It gave them a reason to believe again. You brought color back to a life that had dimmed. You became the soft light in their weary corners. This isn't about physical attraction. This is about resonance. The kind of spiritual intimacy that speaks before words and lingers long after silence. They may have never told you. They may still be hiding in the background, waiting for a moment they can't quite define. But inside, they are already choosing you again and again. Not because you're perfect, but because you feel like home. They don't want to control you or change you. They want to walk beside you, grow with you, offer you something stable, something honest, something that doesn't vanish when life gets hard. They want to be your shelter, not your storm. Your mirror, not your mold. Your safe place, not your prison. And all the years they've lived, more or fewer, have prepared them for this, for you. So if you feel it, if something inside you tightens when their name crosses your thoughts, if your soul leans toward a presence you haven't fully understood, don't rush to silence it. That's not confusion. That's remembrance. That's divine timing, whispering to your heart that something holy is near. And it's not here to hurt you. It's here to stay. They haven't spoken yet. Not because they don't care, but because they care so deeply it frightens them. This isn't silence born of indifference. It's silence born of reverence. They're not waiting for the perfect moment to impress you. They're waiting for the right moment to honor you. Every word they might say feels too small, too fragile, too unworthy of what you awaken in them. So instead, they've been preparing their soul quietly, intentionally, tremblingly. There are messages they've written and never sent. Words they've whispered in prayer but couldn't speak aloud. Moments when they stood close to you, wanting to say something, but fear held their tongue. Not fear of you, but fear of the weight of truth. They know once it's spoken, everything will shift. They've rehearsed their confession in their mind more times than they can count, and every time their heart races like a drum before battle. Because this love, this real, raw, sacred love, demands everything, and they're finally ready to give it. They've tried to distract themselves, to throw their heart into other things, into other people, but no one matches your glow. No one stills their chaos the way your presence does. No one feels like prophecy fulfilled the way you do. Even when they laugh with others, part of their spirit remains tethered to you, not in obsession, but in soul loyalty, in quiet longing, in the kind of devotion that doesn't need attention to exist. It just is. In their solitude, they've been asking God for guidance, not for control over the situation, but for courage. Courage to be vulnerable, courage to speak with clarity and not fear, courage to approach the sacred ground that is your heart and not tremble. And every time they ask, the answer is the same: prepare. And so they have. They've been clearing space in their heart, letting go of past wounds, shedding their ego, quieting the voices of doubt, so that when they finally come to you, they will come in truth. You may think they've forgotten you, moved on, dismissed the pull, but in reality they are getting ready for the moment they will no longer hold back. The moment they will finally look you in the eyes and let their souls speak what words could never fully contain. And when that moment comes, it won't be perfect. It won't be polished, but it will be real, and it will change everything. So if you felt the tension in the air, the goosebumps without reason, the sense that something is about to break open, you're right. That is heaven aligning. That is spirit moving. That is love preparing to step forward, not in haste, but in sacred boldness. And when it does, your heart will recognize the truth, because your soul has been waiting too. The world will look at you and see numbers. It will calculate your differences, measure your timelines, and whisper doubts into your ear. But heaven never counted years. It counted resonance. It counted purpose. It counted the agreement your souls made long before either of you arrived in this lifetime. And in that agreement, age was never an obstacle. It was a design, a feature, a part of the divine blueprint meant to soften pride, to humble the mind, and to prove that real love is never limited by logic. C.S. Lewis in the Screwtape Letters wrote, "The safest road to hell is the gradual one, the gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings, without milestones, without signposts." This warning unveils the danger of worldly doubts that seek to dim your connection. The subtle whispers of logic and societal norms are a gradual path away from divine love. But your soul's resonance with theirs, guided by heaven, marks the true milestone of eternal alignment. They did not fall for your age. They fell for your fire, for the quiet way you carry your wounds, for the light in your eyes when you talk about the things that matter to your soul. They fell for your resilience, for your rawness, for the way you still dare to hope, even after life tried to steal that from you. They don't admire you from a place of comparison. They admire you from a place of reverence. Because in you they see something they thought they had lost, a reason to believe that pure, enduring love still exists. They are not drawn to your youth or your wisdom. They are drawn to you, the version of you that exists when no one is watching. The version of you that still prays in the dark, that still fights invisible battles, that still shows up with trembling hands, but a determined heart. They see through the layers beyond your outer story and into the sacred essence you try so hard to protect. And still they choose you. They are not here to take anything from you. They are not here to fix you, mold you, or change you. They are here to honor you, to stand beside you, to build something steady and true, not in spite of your differences, but because of them. What the world calls a gap, heaven calls alignment. One soul arrived earlier, one arrived later, but the timing of your meeting was perfect, right on divine schedule. And they're beginning to realize that the years between you aren't a wall, they're a bridge that only the brave will cross. They've seen others misunderstand you, dismiss you, try to fit you into their own timelines. But they're not here for that. They don't want a version of you. They want you, the whole, honest, unfiltered you. Even the parts you've been told are too much. Even the parts you still struggle to embrace yourself. They love not just the beauty others praise, but the scars others ignore. To them, those scars are sacred. They are maps of survival signs, that you've lived, signs that you've endured. And so slowly fear begins to fall away. Not because they are fearless, but because love is finally stronger than fear. They are choosing truth over appearances, spirit over structure. And when they look at you, they don't see numbers, they see home. You are not their mistake. You are their miracle. The one they didn't expect, but now cannot live without. They have held this love in their chest for what feels like an eternity. Not because they are unsure, but because they wanted to be worthy of the moment. They've carried your name like a sacred secret, wrapped in prayers and hidden behind smiles. But the time for silence is ending. The moment of release is approaching. And though they still tremble at the thought of saying it aloud, their soul can no longer carry the weight alone. They know their words won't be perfect. They know their voice may shake. But when they finally speak, it will not be from impulse. It will be from truth. Every glance they've given you, every pause in conversation, every lingering silence has been the groundwork for this confession. And when it comes, it won't feel like a performance. It will feel like prophecy fulfilled. You may be shocked. You may question where it came from or why now. But deep down, your spirit will already know. Because this has been forming beneath the surface for far longer than your eyes could see. Their energy has been moving toward you in waves, gentle, persistent, undeniable. And now it is rising. They've stopped asking for signs. They've stopped resisting what God has already confirmed. Their only remaining prayer is for courage. Courage to open their heart without reservation. Courage to be seen fully, even if it means being vulnerable in ways they've never dared before. They are not coming to impress you. They are not here to sweep you into fantasy. They are coming with something far more rare: sincerity. A devotion not born from desire, but from deep alignment. They have thought through every consequence. They know what it could cost. But they also know what it would cost them not to speak. To walk away from a love that feels written into the fabric of their existence would be to reject their own soul. And so they are preparing not just a message or a moment, but a life. A place where your spirit can rest, where your truth can be heard, where your presence can be honored without question. They are ready to walk beside you, not just when it's easy, but when it's difficult. Not just when it's light, but when it's dark. Their confession is not about beginning a romance. It's about revealing a vow, one that's been pulsing in their chest since the day they met you. So when the moment comes, whether in words or in a look that finally says everything, they won't be asking for instant answers. They will simply be offering the truth. And if you listen not with your ears, but with your heart, you'll hear something deeper than longing. You'll hear the sound of destiny arriving on trembling lips. You'll feel heaven's timing land quietly between you, and suddenly everything will make sense. This is not a love that comes to destroy, confuse, or rush you. This is a love sent by heaven to restore something inside you that was once fractured. It does not demand. It does not pressure. It simply surrounds you like light, gentle, consistent, unwavering. It knows when to wait in silence, and it knows when to speak with clarity. It knows your wounds, even the hidden ones, and still comes closer, not to expose you, but to guard what is sacred within you. They do not approach with fire to consume you. They come like water to your roots, offering tenderness, steadiness, presence. They are not here to fix what life broke. They are here to love what remains. Every piece of you that once felt forgotten, misunderstood, or too much, this love was made to cherish it, to hold it with both hands without fear or judgment. Because they don't just see your strength. They see your softness. They see the weight you carry in silence. And they honor it. Even before they knew your story, they felt the echoes of your pain. They sensed the depth behind your smile, the history in your eyes. And instead of running, they stayed. Not always physically, but spiritually, emotionally, silently they remained. Praying for you, hoping for you, asking God to keep you, even when they didn't yet have the courage to approach. That's the kind of love this is. One that watches from the shadows, not to avoid responsibility, but to avoid interfering too soon. Because they knew you were not someone to rush. You were someone to revere. They want to bring you peace, not chaos. Clarity, not confusion. They want to meet you not with noise, but with presence. They want to give you something you may have never truly received: safety. The kind of love that doesn't just adore your light, but makes room for your darkness. The kind that listens, really listens, without needing to fix or change you. The kind that stays when things get quiet, when things get hard, when your past tries to convince you that no one will understand. They will understand, not because they've lived your life, but because they've been called to your soul. And the soul speaks a language far beyond logic or shared experiences. It speaks in recognition, in stillness, in resonance. They are not here to save you, chosen one. They are here to walk with you side by side. Through the healing, through the unraveling, through the remembering of who you are, beyond all the wounds you've carried. So if your heart has felt unsettled, not in fear, but in anticipation, if you've sensed something sacred moving toward you, you're not imagining it. This love is real. This love is sent. And when it finally arrives fully in words or presence, it will not come to demand space in your life. It will come to gently ask, "May I love you the way heaven intended?" Long before your names were ever spoken aloud, long before this life shaped either of you, they were praying for something they couldn't name, something that would make sense of all the heartbreak, all the waiting, all the growing. In their quietest hours, they whispered to heaven, not asking for perfection, but for truth. Not for a fairy tale, but for something sacred. And heaven answered, not in an instant, but over time, through seasons of silence, through years of wondering. And then, one day they saw you, and their soul exhaled, as if it had finally come home. They may not have understood it right away. They may have resisted it. But deep inside, something ancient stirred. Because you weren't just anyone. You were the fulfillment of a spiritual promise, a gentle reminder that God hadn't forgotten them. You were the light that entered when they didn't even know they were still waiting. And though the world may see your meeting as chance, they know the truth. It was always written. You were always meant to cross paths. They've watched you sometimes from close, sometimes from afar, with the eyes of someone who carries deep reverence. They've seen others come and go in your life, and though they stayed silent, something inside them burned quietly. Not with envy, but with longing. They watched how others misunderstood your softness, how some failed to cherish your fire. And with each passing moment, their desire to step forward only grew. Because they knew, if they were ever given the chance, they would not waste it. They don't want to take up space in your world just to be another presence. They want to be your peace, your mirror, your partner. They want to be the one who sees the version of you that even you sometimes forget. The one who reminds you that your scars are sacred, that your sensitivity is strength, that your presence carries purpose. They want to be the one who doesn't just say, "I love you," but lives it in patience, in honesty, in devotion. You are not just a chapter in their story. You are the divine climax, the long-awaited alignment, the living proof that love, real love, does not obey the patterns of this world. It follows the movement of heaven. So when they finally step forward, when their words tremble and their eyes fill with truth, listen not with doubt, but with your spirit. Because everything in your journey has prepared you for this. Every heartbreak, every prayer, every moment of wondering if anyone would ever truly see you, it's all been leading here. They don't expect you to understand it all at once. They don't need you to respond with certainty. They only ask that you feel it. Because when love like this speaks, the heart already knows. And yours has been listening longer than you realize. You may not have seen their devotion yet, but your soul has felt it. In the stillness, in the signs, in the way your spirit sometimes pauses, sensing something holy drawing near. This is not an accident. This is inheritance. This is the promise of God made visible through a soul who chose to wait until they could love you right. You may not have expected it to come like this, wrapped in silence, hidden beneath years, carried by a soul who doesn't match your expectations. But heaven never asked you to understand. Heaven only asked you to recognize. And what is drawing near to you now is not confusion. It is fulfillment. It is the slow, sacred blooming of a love written before time, waiting for the moment your heart would be soft enough to receive it. This is your invitation, not from a person, but from God, to open your heart without fear, to step beyond the walls of what the world calls right, and into the wild, holy territory of what is divinely aligned. This is not about appearances, not about approval. It is about purpose. You were not created to live a life of logic alone. You were created to feel the weight of glory resting on your soul when destiny finds you. And now they are coming, not perfectly but prayerfully, not with grand declarations, but with trembling sincerity. You may not see them yet, or perhaps you already do, but you're afraid to believe what your soul is whispering, that this is real, that this is love, that this is what you asked God for in your loneliest nights, though you never imagined it would look like this. And now it stands before you not to demand your yes, but to honor your no, to give you a choice, to let you say yes not out of pressure, but out of deep, holy recognition. So when the signs return, when your heart flutters without cause, when dreams remind you of something deeper, when your soul grows quiet at the sound of their name, don't run. Don't rationalize it away. Stand still and listen, because this is how heaven speaks, not through loudness, but through stillness, through peace, through a presence that makes time pause and reminds your heart that it is known, held, chosen. This person is not coming to take from you. They are coming to give, to pour into the places no one else has noticed, to speak life into the dreams you buried, to walk beside you not just through moments of joy, but through valleys where you forgot how to hope. And even now, while they wait, they are praying for the courage to speak, for the wisdom to protect, and for the strength to love you without fear. Chosen one. This is not just a love story. It is a reunion. It is the return of something holy that once was whole and will be whole again. Say yes not to a person, but to what heaven is bringing. Say yes to the healing. Say yes to the mystery. Say yes to the story only God could write. Because when they come, and they will, you will remember this moment. You will remember these words. And you will know without needing proof that this is the chapter where everything begins again. And this time, it will last. To end this sacred message, take a moment now. Let your heart grow still. If your soul has recognized something in these words, if you felt the quiet confirmation of heaven, then let this prayer anchor what God has already begun. Read it slowly, not with your eyes alone, but with your spirit open. Lord, I come to you in quiet reverence. I bring the questions I cannot answer, the longings I cannot explain, and the ache that only you have seen. I open my heart to your will, not my own. If this connection, this love, this sacred alignment is from you, then let nothing stand in its way. Not fear, not time, not the opinions of others. Let what is yours rise, and what is not fall away. Teach me to recognize your fingerprints, even when love arrives in unfamiliar form. Teach me to trust the language of the soul over the logic of the mind. And if this love was written by you, sealed in heaven, then let me receive it in your timing, with faith, with wisdom, and without resistance. Break every lie that tells me I am unworthy, too late, or too far from what you've promised. Replace it with peace, with clarity, with a quiet, holy knowing. I pray also for the one whose heart is already connected to mine in silence. Bless them, strengthen them, guide them as they prepare to step forward. Let them be bold enough to speak truth, but gentle enough to honor the sacredness of this unfolding. Cover them with grace as they walk toward me, not out of desire alone, but out of divine obedience. Unite our hearts not in haste, but in harmony. Let this connection reflect your glory, not our striving. Let our meeting be more than romance. Let it be revival. Let it awaken the deepest parts of who we are and who we are becoming. May our love not just comfort us, but carry a purpose, a mission, a light. Let us hold each other in a way that honors you purely, truthfully, eternally. And if I must wait, let me wait. Well, let me wait with hope, not doubt, with preparation, not fear. I do not ask for perfection. I ask for what is true, what is holy, what is sent by you. And when it arrives, I will receive it not with hesitation, but with gratitude, because what comes from you never needs to beg to be believed. It will come with peace. It will come with clarity. It will come with your name written all over it. In your perfect timing, in your divine design, let it be done. Amen.